Hey guys, sorry this isn't part 2 of the CallistoHime rant, but I've just been having a really hard time scripting it. It started out as a rant, then turned into a review, now it's more of an analysis. So, yeah, you're still gonna get it, but it's gonna take longer than I thought. Sorry about that. In the meantime, here's a rant about fanfiction in general. Fanfiction is tricky business. The main problem, I think, is determining when to draw the line, finding out when you've gone too far. There are two sides of the fanfiction spectrum, those who follow the canon religiously, and those who bend it to their will, sometimes disregarding parts of it. It might be a bit extreme to label these groups like that, but it's true, and I seem to find more of the latter than the former while browsing the internet. A lot of people seem to use the canon material for character names and brief knowledge of the plot, and that's about it. They rarely ever get the character they're writing for in character, and most of the time end up making the character do things that they would never do in the canon. An example of this would be, well, CallistoHime. There are exceptions to this, however, as a user called, I hope I say this right, Kinterer brought up in the comments of my CallistoHime rant. What if you're writing a fic on something that happened before the canon started? The example that was brought up was the 12 Crusaders from Fire Emblem 4. The only thing we do know about them is their names and not much else, so the need to make a plot and personalities for the characters would be a necessary action. The other sort of exception I can see is if you're dealing with characters that have an ambiguous personality, i.e. Link and Zelda from the Legend of Zelda series. Let's face it, we don't know too much about these characters personality-wise. Zelda only appears about 1 to 3 times a game, or sometimes not at all, and Link doesn't even have any dialogue. Everyone has their interpretation of these characters, and not a single one can claim that their version is the true one. Despite this, there are even guidelines that every fan has settled on being the defining traits of Link and Zelda. They're both good guys and do no wrong. Usually if someone goes against this, it will receive mixed response. Really, I think if you're going to go through the trouble of disregarding canon and making your story more or less original fiction with hijacked characters, then at least slap an AU label on it. The other group of people, those who use canon religiously, are indeed the minority. They make sure everything from their plot to the characterization corresponds to the canon, or at least make strong ties to it. There isn't much to really say about this group other than thanks for putting forth the effort to analyze the canon and the characters. Now, I find myself in the middle of these two groups. I don't write fanfiction myself, but that's because I fear I'll somehow end up like group 1. Characterization is hard to do, and that's the difficulty of fanfiction. If you could just bend canon characters to your will and everyone made their different version, then what's the point in fanfiction?